Welcome back to Web 110 HTML and CSS. In the next set of videos, the content that is going to be covered in the lectures is going to pair with the chapter 12 reading, just so you have kind of a heads up on that. And this video I'm going to try to keep short because I just want to talk about folder organization and how to work a little bit with how you name your files and how you bring up your files, so you have more of an idea of how that works before going in and trying to organize your files and manage them when you are working with your server space. So this video is going to just be talking about the file structure of everything. So to start with, I've got this picture and we're going to create a folder for this to go into. And the reason I picked this picture is you may or may not have heard a cat in the background of my videos, and that's because I'm recording from home, and this is my cat Bingley, and you probably have heard him, and if you haven't, you probably will notice him in the future. He really wants attention all the time, so I figured it might be nice for you to get to know who else is here aside from myself. All right, so I have this picture, and the reason I wanted to have a picture is because we're going to look at how you could link to something else. So I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code as well. And what we're going to do is create a couple of files. And to do this a little bit quicker, what I might do is actually take that template file that we had worked with before. And I'm just going to do File, Save As, and then I'm going to call this Index. And I want to make sure that I choose my new location. So let's create a folder, and we're going to call this folder Organization. Since that's our topic, so we have organization. I'm going to pick organization here. I'm going to call this index. Then we have .html. So we'll have one file that will be in there. And then what I want us to do is we're going to create another folder that will be called pages. We can create another one called images, another one called CSS, another one called JS. We're not going to actually use all of these. So when you have a website, you will typically have your landing page will be called index.html. And so you'll notice the first homework assignment, I said in the directions that I wanted you to call that index.html. So that's something that you should get used to. And then something that you might have with your homework, you're going to be putting everything in just one folder. There's not going to be enough files that you really need to worry about creating these subfolders, but it's very common for you to have an additional folder that would have your HTML pages in it outside of your landing page, or maybe you're breaking them down into kind of subcategories, like having a portfolio folder and then having other folders depending on if there's a bunch of similar content that would make sense as kind of part of your drop-down menu or something. And then you might have an images folder. It could also be just called a media folder if you had some videos or audio files that you were wanting to link to. And then another common thing would be having your style sheets in a CSS folder, and then you might have JavaScript files in a JS folder. So this may or may not be something that you would have down the line in the future. But again, for this class, you can just put everything into your main folder and not worry about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this picture of my cat and we're going to put this in the images folder. And then I want to have another HTML file as well. So I'm going to just go File, Save As, choose this organization folder again. But this time I'm going to go into pages and we're going to call this cat.html, and I'll save that. So we'll have this cat page, and then we'll have the index page. And now that I have this, I'm going to modify it a little bit. So let's see, this index, I'll just call this homepage. Maybe I'll say welcome to my website. It's kind of the same difference for hello world. And then what we're going to actually want to have is our navigation. And let's try to make this look a little bit like your homework. Whoops. So we'll have the header, put this inside of the header, create a nav. We can put this inside of a main, and then we could add a footer, which we don't necessarily have to have anything here. And then here I'm going to have a link. So we'll have this first one will link to the first page. And we'll just call this home page, or we could say home. I think that sounds a little bit more natural. And then we're going to have a link to the cat HTML page. So this will work. And then actually what I'm going to do is copy all of this, paste it over to this page, and if it helps, we can split these up so that way we can see both of them at the same time. And then this one I will change so it says cat. H1 can say cat. The navigation will be the same, and then let's say this is Bingley. So we have that. So we'll be able to tell the difference between them. And then one more thing that we're going to do to help make this look different is we're actually going to put a picture on here using this picture. And if you're following along and doing this yourself, you can add your own picture if you've got a pet, or if you've got a kid, or if you've got just a picture of something, personal picture, you can put it. You're not going to have to turn this in or anything, but you can just use a picture, or if you don't want to use a personal picture, you can just use one online. That's usually what I do in classes. I just Google and find a picture of an animal or something. So don't worry about this code. In chapter 5, we're going to go over how to actually do images. But we're going to add in an image, which is going to use this img tag. And we're going to use src to source the image. And I know that it's a JPEG, so I'm going to do cat.jpg. And then usually you want to specify the width, the height, and the alternative text description. The purpose of this is just to talk about linking, so I'm going to save that for when we actually introduce it. And this is going to be one of those cases where you will only have the single tag. You're not going to have an end tag because it's purely just linking to something. It's not trying to surround something like with text where it makes sense that you need to write out the text and then you need to surround it with the tag labeling it. So this is going to be all we're going to need. I'm going to save both of these, move this tab over so we can kind of look at the screen a little easier. And then I'm going to open this with Firefox. You could use whatever browser that you want. And so now I've got my home page. There's the home and the cat links. If I click on home, it works. And if I click on cat, it doesn't work. And then to make this a little fair, let's go to pages, and I'm going to also open up the cat page on here. Oh, I'm trying to move this back. Okay, so this is the cat page. We have home, we've got cat, and we've got this broken link for the image. So this seems like it should work, but the problem is that based off of our file structure, this doesn't actually match what we have, because we've got this image is inside of this images folder, and then the pages is in another folder. So what you have to do when you're working with relative links is you have to think about where is the thing that I am trying to reference in relation to the current file. So that's what we're going to be working with this. So from the perspective of the index page, I'll see if I can put these kind of next to each other. So from the perspective of this index file, the index file is in the same folder. So this index link will work here because it's in the same folder. From the perspective of this index page, because that's the one that we're on, to the cat HTML page, we have to first go into the pages folder, and then from the pages folder we'll get to that cat page. So what we have to do in front of the cat is we have to say pages, and then you are going to put a /, and you'll see that it even is now suggesting, oh look, we have this file called cat that's in there. Is that what you want? So this is going to be how you go forward into a subfolder, is you choose the name of the folder as it is listed inside the same location. So if you had this file that's inside of another file, so let's say that you had pages and then you had a subfolder that had animals in it, you would go pages and then animals and then cat. You would be able to do that. So now this is going to work. So this file should be fine now. Now we're going to have to go to cat, and with the cat one, the cat file is in the same folder as itself. So this link here will work fine on this page, but this index, we have to return to the previous folder to get there. So in front of index, you're going to put 2 periods and then a /, and then now you'll actually see that we have the option of going not only back, but we can choose to go back, and then we can choose, like in this case we have this file, but we can go back and then we can actually go into another file. So if you were kind of going back and forth between different folders, we could technically choose, like let's say CSS, and then from CSS maybe we've got some style.css style sheet, so we could return back to that. In this case we're just going to go back to this HTML file. But this is why I wanted to include this example of working with this cat picture. Oops, and I forgot the D. Okay, so this cat image, from the perspective of this page, we have to return back. And then from here we have to go into the images folder, and then we're going to choose our file. So it's kind of the perfect combination of showing how to go into a subfolder, how to go back out of a subfolder, and then how to go back and then back into a different subfolder. So this, between these two, and let me just go and put this split screen again so you can see both of these at the same time. Between these two, this will cover everything that you need for how to go back and forth between your different files. And if you need to, you can pause the video and take a look at that. Now that I have this corrected, let me hit save on both of those, and then I will refresh this. Now this will actually work, and this picture is way too large. We'd be better off if I had, let me add in real quick, height. I don't remember the aspect ratio. I'll just do height of 200. Okay, so now this will work a lot better. So we've got home and cat are now working, and then clearly you can see that the cat picture is now working. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to go over how to work with FileZilla, so then you have an idea. And then I'm going to try to add in the description how where I've got an older video recording of working with that, so that way if you are on a PC computer, you can kind of see how the menu looks different on that. If you've got any questions, send me an email or write them in the discussion board and I'll get back to you.